thinking how you've kind of progressed through your career, all of the things that you've learned, right? Now, since you got to Oregon, did you start at Oregon in 2019, 2018?
Yeah, 2018.
2018.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now, I think this is good because, as you know, I want you to chime in a little bit on like resources and things like that, but also how a lot of the things that you do impart on the athletes, it doesn't need to be when you have like unlimited resources. You know what I mean? We're talking about, because UH, we are a Division I program, but we are on the lower tier of funding, of resources, of just staff resources, equipment, facilities, and all of that. But you still can do a great job for the student athletes, right? And then when you go into one of the Power 5 schools, Oregon is even more so on the top tier or top end of the Pac-12, I would say, or I would guess. But talk about the differences in resources, but also talk about how what you kind of do for the student athletes is pretty much the same regardless of where you go, right? All those intangible things, how you coach them and relate to them and connect with them, right? Can you give a little insight about that?
Yeah, there's a lot of tiers to that question. First of all, like the resources and the facilities and the funding and things like that, it's vital for a program to be successful. I'm not going to shy away from that. It's an advantage. It's a recruiting tool. It is everything that you think it is.
Yep.
It's also not the answer to things. Mm-hmm. So what I tell people all the time, not recruits specifically, but other kids that I come in contact with, especially from Hawaii, you don't try to go to a school just because of the things that they have. You got to think about other things, because if you come to somewhere like Oregon, the really cool factor runs out quickly. Like after you get that first bag of really cool gear, you get that cool shoes and all that stuff that you get after you walk through the buildings and just think that you're like in a palace, the reality sets in quickly. Mm-hmm. So if you don't get along with your coach, if you don't like the environment, you don't like the weather and things like that, it gets real really quickly. So it's an advantage. It's necessary, but it's also not the answer for that. So when you're trying to decide where to go, and sometimes you don't have a choice, honestly, when you get recruited, but don't try to pursue things just because of what they have. Think about what you can bring to it and what it can do for you. So that's the first thing. I think we think about mid-majors as like this, like tier down from college athletics, and really it's not much different, to be honest. I saw we get high level athletes, and we rate them in stars and all that kind of stuff, but the skill level and the talent level, strength level is not much different at the mid majors. It's just that we might have more of them here. You know what I'm saying? So it's a big reason why we can get upset by all kinds of teams. And that's something that we have to like kind of instill in these kids here, because we have everything, right? And it's easy to get kind of comfortable. It's easy to like, we're Oregon, we're supposed to win, right? Like, no, you actually can get beat. And it happens. And sometimes it's good that we get beat by the smaller schools, because it's a reminder like, hey, we're still playing this sport. We're still playing football. We're still playing lacrosse or whatever. You need to prepare like you had nothing before. And so at the same time, it's an advantage, and it's also a disadvantage, because you see this happen from kids that had a lot in their lives. Like they don't have that toughness. They don't have the resilience. And sometimes it's like, hey, maybe we need to have less resources because we need to have that edge as well, right? So the preparation doesn't change. It's just that sometimes you walk in and you're like, this is really nice, but it's the same job.
I like how you said the preparation doesn't change, because there's no shortcuts. There's no other things that's going to get you there faster. I mean, yes, resources does help, having all of these kind of things, but like you said, there's always a pro and con to every situation, right? And I think the schools that don't have as much, right, maybe they get after it more. Maybe they have more of a chip on their shoulder or whatever it is. It could be that mental edge or perspective that helps to push them a little further, right? Make them a little bit more driven and hungry. But yeah, who's to say? There's always things that I think that's what makes a good coach, right? Because like how you went back to your time at UCLA, like you really learned the art of coaching. I always talk about that. Like it's literally an art form. Like to be good at anything in this profession, you can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you can't actually execute that or apply it or get the athlete to relate, it's kind of useless, right? So I think that's the art of it. Like I like your experiences, what you're sharing, because you're seeing all of these from all of your different experiences, even from when you were doing your 5 a.m. workouts at Farrington, right? Those kids really didn't have a nice weight room or anything, but they're showing up at 5 a.m., right? So it's like, how did that happen, right? And you're kind of collecting this information and observing and seeing, okay, what do I bring to the Oregon teams that you're coaching, right? And I think that you're just sharing that both sides to the picture, right? How can we work on some of the things that we need work on? Like whether that's, hey, you know what? We got to share that. You got to prep. You got to work hard. You got to, do everything that every other school is doing. Don't just feel like it's going to be a given every week, right? And I think that's something that you can share because, again, what you just talked about, that has nothing to do with like, okay, do your sets of 5, make sure that it's clean and all of this. It's completely outside of that. It's kind of these intangible external factors that a good coach will bring to the table.
To piggyback off of that too, to like answer the second part of that question, if you think about my journey career-wise, from saying I don't want to be a counselor anymore, I want to be a coach. I'm still a counselor here. It's just like what I was trying to not do for my career.
Yes.
Like, I was like, I don't want to sit down here and think and talk to you about your problems. That's what I joke about all the time. But I do this every day. It's like every lift, either I hurt someone's feelings or I see something that, they're not doing that's normal according to their personality. And like you said, what can I bring here? Like the value that I've brought here is not my strength and conditioning knowledge. It's the connection that came from having the conversations after. So like when, the kids come to me for, I'm having problems with my coach or I'm my family, this and that. And the fact that you can get that trust from them as a strength coach, because the cool thing about being a strength coach is that you don't really dictate their playing time. So they kind of see you as like a neutral party. Yeah. Even though you're their coach and you're hard on them and you can hold them accountable and all that stuff, they kind of see you as like a trusted person naturally. So if you go that extra step and then really get to know them and really build the relationships where like you can actually see when they're being weird, And that's another aspect where I thought I was getting out of the counseling profession, but it was like a tool for me now, where like I can actually help them. We're not necessarily supposed to like help them mental health wise because we have professionals for that, but just knowing how to listen to them sometimes it's huge. You can talk them off of like going insane for the day. You can process with them. And that's another value that I picked up, not intentionally, but it was like, this is another tool that I have to help them. Yeah.
No, that's great. And again, it's all of these other tools that you bring to the table and I think for everyone, right? Your journey, your experiences, it kind of shapes your skill set and how you're going to proceed and what some of your strengths and weaknesses are. And I think that's something great for, anyone aspiring to do anything in the athletic space, right? That you need to have some of this understanding and relationship building, build rapport with all these athletes. And all of that is very, very crucial to being a better strength coach or coach in general.